Hi, this is Lorraine from Morris & Sons, and I'm back here in the beautiful Sydney store with Tal, and we are going to be talking about socks, and specifically socks for beginners. So if you've heard about knitting socks and you're not quite sure how to start, or it seems a little bit daunting, we're going to help you out. So Tal, why do you think socks is a great project for somebody who's learned how to knit but wants to take it to the next stage?
Well, I'm just talking from my experience. I think it's definitely not for a very beginner knitter, because there's quite a lot of techniques that you have to learn, and you're also using quite fine wool that beginners generally don't use, and you're also using these very, very thin, quite thin needles, and there's a few different ways. So it's an introduction to circular knitting and a nice way to be introduced, because later on a lot of the garments these days are all done all on circular needles. So this is a nice starting point.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of help that is around. So Lorraine will tell us about the wonderful classes we do here in the store. But it really is a fantastic beginning to learning circular. And as you're learning, you're progressing, but it's also challenging, and it's really good for your brain to be learning new things. And once you do, it actually feels great.
Oh, well, it's very satisfying. Like it's a project that you can, once you get the hang of everything, you can do quite quickly. And it's, you know, like Tal says, there's challenging parts. So you can choose to do cuff down or toe up. What do you like to do?
I prefer the top down. I like doing my ribbing, and I just feel like I'm on my way, getting to do the basics, and then I get into the heel, and it's
so if we analyze a sock for a beginner, right, you're going to start up, and this has got a very short cuff. I purposely kept this short, but you start off at the cuff, then you've got to come down, you've got to do your heel flap, then you've got to turn the heel, and then you've got to do your increasing,
because
then you've got to knit in the circular, and then you've got to decrease for your toe and graft it together. That's a whole lot of skills in one little project.
Yeah. And it's doable, it's very doable, but you just have to sit quietly and be patient. Once you've done a couple, you're on your way. And it's actually very addictive, because you want to do lots afterwards. Because the yarns are so gorgeous and vibrant, and
so gorgeous,
and so many yarns for socks. And just for another thing to let people know about, some sock yarn is actually so lovely and soft and beautiful, like the Allegria Manos kettle dyed yarn. It's used for everything, not just for socks. But definitely useful for socks, but really and truly people use them for shawls, and you'll see on everywhere they're just garments.
I think that's
and actually
confusing.
Perfect for a garment, because it's washable, durable, and the colours are just crazy zany out there.
I think that's very confusing for beginners, and I think that's a really good point to make. Sock yarn is not necessarily just for socks.
Exactly.
So, you know, don't worry about that. And here is a prime example.
Yes,
like,
from
how beautiful is this? So this is the ranunculus. And our lovely friend Karen knit this using a combination of, this is a different colour, obviously. We've got lots of gorgeous colours to choose from, so you can just come in store, look on the website and pick your favourite. But this is held with one end of the Kid Silk Haze, which gives you this gorgeous halo haze effect. And it's super light and just yummy.
It's gorgeous. But that's the beauty of sock yarn. It's really quite mixable, matchable. Maybe not so these ones with a self-striping pattern, because they're really ideally just for socks.
Yeah, that's more of your classic sock
and they're
yarn,
also not that soft, so it's sort of on the skin. On your foot it's fine, but when you come to all these other yarns that are kettle dyed, beautiful for everything else. So
And when it comes to picking the right pattern for a beginner, what would you suggest that they look at? I know we've got lots of...
Well, I studied this book, and even though it's all groovy and gorgeous, this pattern in this book is from about 50 years ago. So the actual standard sock pattern hasn't changed. And I just found it very easy to use. I love using the DPNs, so I just found it was very workable. Needle 1, needle 2, instructions were quite easy to follow, but I know everybody has a different preference.
And I think that's the great thing about socks. There's so many ways to do it, and not one is wrong. You just trial everything, and because it's a small project, you can give it a go different ways and work out what's the most comfortable.
There are
the
some
best
people
one
that
for you.
are adamant the Magic Loop that's how they do it, and they will not touch the DPNs. And other people just love the DPNs. So it's really your preference, but I would recommend, if you're learning, and you do research and learn the 3 different ways to do it, and then decide which one you prefer, because that way you're also understanding again the concept of doing the tube, and you're understanding the workings of how you do the circular. So
And I guess if you really like that sort of hands-on personal instruction, we run fantastic classes in our stores, and that teaches the magic loop technique. And it's actually a toe-up sock, which is really interesting.
And they're using a thicker wool.
We use a slightly thicker wool,
so
which is lovely.
Finish the sock.
We can actually get it finished. It doesn't take as long, and it gives you just a really lovely, cozy, warm sock on your foot.
And I had a customer the other day. She came in, and I think she's made about 10 now.
Yes.
She made a few, and she just can't stop.
Yeah,
and
it's addictive.
Every friend or family member will get a pair of her socks.
Yeah.
Right. And I've got other friends in their 90s that they will sit and just make socks and just close their eyes and make them without even, because that's what they do.
That's one of my life goals. I'd like to get to that. I'd like people to make the socks without even looking at them.
Me too. But
I think another goal is just to get around all the amazing sock yarn that we have in our store. I'm getting there slowly, one by one. But
no, it's wonderful.
We would love everyone to just give knitting socks a go. It's a wonderful project. It's a nice short project with lots of challenges that you can absolutely accomplish, and when you get to the end of it, you really feel like you've achieved something beautiful that you can keep for yourself or gift to somebody if you need to.
And most people don't believe that you've made it. They just look at you in a stun. And also you can't buy gorgeous socks. Where do they exist even?
Exactly.
So this is why, and we're very lucky that there is so many yarns to choose from these days. There's just a plethora of sock yarn.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us as we have chatted about a beginner's intro into socks and how to get started. Tal and I are going to be talking lots more about socks in the upcoming weeks, because we love knitting socks and there's so much to talk about, so we can't wait to share it with you. And we would absolutely love you to join us at one of our Learn to Knit Socks classes. So just click on the link below to find out more and book your spot today. Follow us along on our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and leave any comments if you've got any. Thank you.